Governor Evers approving the release of more than $125 million to help clean up Wisconsin's water this morning. The funding specifically targeting PFAS. The governor signing two pieces of legislation after months of negotiations with Republican lawmakers. Now, that money had gone untouched for years while lawmakers worked to agree on just how to spend it. Under the new laws, $80 million will help local communities dealing with PFAS and $35 million going to the Well Compensation Grant Program. The governor releasing a statement on the deal, which reads in part, quote, "This is a historic day for our state and the people of Wisconsin. It has been a long road, but this will make a real difference for families living with the challenges of PFAS every day," end quote. State Senator Eric Wimberger from our area, who co-authored this legislation, shared his thanks with everyone who helped to have those bills signed, adding, quote, "From French Island to Marinette and Madison to Stella, we'll soon begin the important work of identifying and fighting PFAS contamination in lands and waters across our state."